Good evening, B.
Hi, Em. It seems that you have survived the rat pest.
Seems like I've survived, but there's no proof that I can't get it again.
True, you have passed the test of the body, but will you pass the test of the heart and the soul?
First of all, let's address the fact that we are back, doing this remotely.
We are back and stronger than ever. Okay, that was my best fake laugh. My best fake cough.
You see, in Serbia, they had to shut down Corona for a while. For the government, it was like flipping a switch.
Yeah.
No Corona. We have beaten Corona.
Please do check our previous episodes on Serbian elections when we check out the videos on our ruling party's campaign where they flat out say we have defeated Corona. Well.
Somebody here has been using the public transportation. Not me.
Okay. First things first. I do not know where I got it. It could have been my workplace because we have had a couple of cases there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but the state authority where I work at has very spacious hallways, extremely large offices, so it might not be there.
Doesn't matter.
I know, but still. We weren't sitting atop of each other's heads as we were in my previous workplace. Then it could have been the public transportation, which is, as I like to call it, pestilentarium, because it is like all the labs are empty, all of the germs and viruses and prions are in Serbian public transportation. I could have gotten it in the gym, I could have gotten it in the church. Ironically, I've been using Serbian version of Uber in order to reduce my exposure through the public transportation. So in the end, I do not know where I got it. I try to keep social distance. I did wear a mask, but sometimes even with all of the precautions, somebody might have sneezed and I have passed through the cloud 5 minutes later. The cloud of death.
Unlike you, I know exactly what I got it.
You're welcome.
Needless to say,
by the way,
I'm going to be practicing social distancing from you for a while.
By the way, I love how Americanized our shirts are.
Was that Levi's?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was on the chair. So,
yeah.
This is the first time I think I'm wearing white in
actually,
Chronicles. Because I always wear black.
Yeah, you always wear like. Yeah, I prefer like these dark blues, Yeah. And by the way, does it smell like the old closet? Us guys, we pick up the thing from the closet and usually we need a girlfriend or a wife to say, what are you wearing? I can smell it from over here.
Yeah, something like that, but not really. The smell was okay.
Okay, good.
The smell was okay, but I did pick it up from the closet yesterday, I think. No, actually, I took it today. Yeah, this is a fresh t-shirt. I just didn't wear it, so I just put it on the chair, and it ended up in the episode.
If I turn the opposite camera on the one that I'm on the phone, you could see my clothes chair.
Where's your microphone?
On my cross.
So witty.
Yeah.
So okay.
Hey, I'm doing a sort of holy thing with this podcast. We're doing a sort of holy thing, so it is okay to hang the mic on the cross string.
What sort of a holy thing are we doing?
We're making a Christian podcast.
We're doing a holy thing. Some people.
Well, holish. So anyway, you guys probably... Yeah, do go on, man.
As our description says, we leave missionary work to the church. Here, we kind of have fun.
Yeah, but maybe...
Holy fun, according to you.
well, if we leave missionary work to the church, maybe we should do some missionary work in total.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I think somebody has said...
just that we move it from ground zero. That's what you mean, yeah.
I saw a tweet, like, if all Orthodox churches were doing half the missionary work the Russian Orthodox Church did, half of the world will be Orthodox. While I tend to agree with the sentiment, Russian Orthodox Church is also the biggest church, so, if all others did anything, I don't think it would avail to that much, even though, of course, every soul is special.
Yes, but I do think that the Russian church kind of does missionary work within the borders of Russia. That's at least my impression. I don't see like tentacles everywhere.
Well, I think it is a bit of an issue with the organization of the Orthodox Church because, it is difficult to put out the tentacles when it is already some other bishop's domain, And if it's not yours, it's ecumenical patriarchs. So, you can't just...
That guy.
Guy.
Look, so...
We'll discuss that, too.
You were feeling bad when you came to my office last time we recorded. We did 2 episodes, and the outcome of these 2 episodes is... sorry, I have a garbage truck moving. Of course, it's time.
It's a recurring motive. It's a recurring motive of our episodes.
And there might be some music in the back.
Oh, sorry, Angel truck just passed by my apartment. Oh, do you hear it?
Holy work, Christian channel. So the last episode we did, the one before this, kind of brought up some emotions with people, which is fun. Let's call it like that.
Well, it is a political subject, so it was bound to happen.
Yeah, it's like for me, because I was never like a YouTuber or anything. It's kind of new that people wholeheartedly disagree with me in the comment section. Right?
Okay, in the comment section, yes.
Obviously, people don't agree with it, but the comment section so far wasn't, that disagreeable.
But when we have 50 subscribers, but now it's 600.
Wow.
Controversy
600.
galore.
Yeah. No, the thing is, the topic, the cancel culture was the topic. It's very, obviously very touchy.
Yeah.
And obviously people have very passionate points of view, very passionate thoughts about the topic.
Yeah.
And I think when you speak of such topics, you tend to, they will never agree with some people. One of the comments mentioned...
There's a great expression, like, you're always bound to step on some toes.
Yeah, obviously, and it's perfectly fine. One of the last comments I read mentioned that we kind of, well, from their perspective, we just complained and complained and complained, but never gave an alternative to whatever to cancel culture. That's at least how I interpreted the comment. Like we never made a constructive suggestion on what is it to be done or whatever.
Well, simply don't engage in it.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I was trying to say. It's like the point is, just don't do it. That's the point of view that we kind of spoke about. We complained. Maybe you can look at it like that.
Well, of
but
course I
it's, you know,
complained. I lost my favorite YouTuber, and by the way, I saw a sliver of it on my second favorite thing, which is Dilbert. You know, that comic about office life, which is perfect. So TV Tropes started sharing a lot of Dilbert comics on their Facebook page, and somebody said, "You guys shouldn't share Dilbert. The creator is a Trump supporter," and I'm like, you know.
Yeah, and this is really the problem, because there is no way to press the brake in time, and these things always go too far.
Yeah.
Like the example that we talked about in the episode where that a driver found a noose.
Well, no. I defended the guy because he was told that the noose was found. So he was sort of led to... Yeah. He was led to the wrong conclusion, and everybody then started comparing him to a guy who actually invented a hate crime against himself.
Yeah, but the point of that is it went too far.
Yeah.
You can't if you are like, it seems to me that people are now kind of looking for an excuse, looking for a reason to attack somebody, and that's the problem. That's the hate that I've been talking about. Well, at least when I was replying to some comments. The problem I have, I think that's hate, because I see people really looking for something to grasp and like say something like, this is racist, or this is just put a label on it and pursue. Like I saw on Twitter, like literally 2 days ago, this guy was like playing with like it's a pizza place or something. Let's say it's a pizza place. They were making stuff out of flour. You understand? They were making dough. Yeah, they were making dough, and this guy made like a noose or something. Okay. And like made a joke.
Okay.
The video ended up on the internet, and immediately the thing was given a racial context. Like,
why?
The context
because only black people were hanged. I mean, I don't see anything particularly
exactly
black to hanging. I mean, hanging is one of those beautiful universal things in civilizations.
the problem is people will put that context even though it's not there.
Yeah,
and they will pursue it, like the guy literally did this and said, "Oh my God, this car, the truck." Can you be any slower? I'm looking at it through the window, but it's like, wow.
By the way, but ironically, there are literally cases. I saw like this video of a guy who was, I don't know, was he irate? Was he drunk?
This is drugs? Belgrade right now.
You promised you're not going to watch it because it gets your sugar levels up.
Yeah, but I'm still playing it in the background.
Good, excellent. Destroy your mental well-being. So anyway, these people were celebrating birthday and they were Asians, and suddenly these guys really started letting them have it, like slurs, threatening them with Trump or whatnot. And okay, that is clearly a racial hate crime. You're simply assaulting people based on their race, and of course that those things happen. But when you impute them without any reason, okay, regarding that video, maybe there was something outside of the video that we do not know, but based on the video's merits, as you described it, I haven't seen it. Why? I mean,
no, but you can imagine.
And white people were hanged. People hanged themselves, sadly.
I mean, it's obvious to me that people are very sensitive to this, and I recognize that, and I don't really want to like offend anybody, but
Yeah.
it's like it's always going too far. On social media, it's always going too far. Like it's one video with a comment, and there's a mob within minutes. There's a mob, and that person is like, whatever they did,
cancelled forever.
And when people say something like this joke was in poor taste, that's also very subjective. There's people who
I was hit with that quite recently.
Of course, everybody's hit with that.
Yeah.
The thing is, you pushed my thought.
Sorry.
What did I want to say? I mean, it is.
No. You said that people push it too far.
Yeah, people push it too far, and I completely lost everything else I wanted to say. But it is what it is. It's a dialogue, and
I'm sorry.
It's not a monologue.
Okay.
I was also told by some of our viewers that apparently I can barely get a chance to speak.
So anyway, regarding that video I mentioned, well, I'm the talky type,
You are, and I'm
Yes.
I'm the silent type, right?
You're this dark silent type, while I'm the obnoxious. No, I have something else to say, guy. I'm very opinionated.
Yeah, so let's talk about our experience with COVID-19. But before we say that, unfortunately, that's what we started the episode with. Actually, that switch that was flipped in Serbia. Well, it's flipped back now. So what happened was the first wave of Corona that we experienced, we had some very restrictive measures, like ridiculous measures. We had a type of quarantine where people were not allowed to go outside from like 6 p.m. to like 5 or 7 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the entire weekend, like Friday from 100 hours, like 6 p.m. To Monday 5 a.m. So it was like ridiculous. Like more human rights were violated during that period than in the history of this country.
And they kept changing rules like literally every day.
Literally every day they would like do, and you know what's ridiculous? There wasn't like one place where you could like get all the information, even though we have like a website that is dedicated to COVID-19. Like you always had to pull things from media. You always have to. The only source of information was their public announcements. So you have to like sit and wait, and when they start, you have to listen through their awful propaganda, like awful brainwashing propaganda, along with the information on what awaits us in terms of are we going to be under lockdown or not. Imagine a curfew that is not a curfew. It's like house arrest.
Which is curfew.
It is?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not allowed to leave home. By the way, have you read anything of Terry Pratchett?
Yeah.
Okay. Terry Pratchett is a famous author of Discworld series novels.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. Even though he was an atheist, but
we don't know.
Well, I think he declared himself as one. But in any case,
you can say for sure that atheists are not accepted to heaven. I can't.
Oh no, I didn't say that. So anyway,
except Hitler, maybe. I think it's that one might be a bit obvious, but also I don't know.
I think that Hitler's atheism is least of his troubles in afterlife. So anyway,
I really can't say. Say.
So anyway, in this Discworld series, it's a parody generally of fantasy genre, but each book tends to parody a different sort of thing in a fantasy setting. And of course, in a lot of books, you have these Wizards University, which clearly parodies all of the wizardly tropes. And one of the recurring motives regarding the Wizards is they do all sorts of this completely unnecessary stuff simply because they look cool. And in one of the novels, the wizards want to summon death, like the personification of death, the Grim Reaper. So they're standing on this octagon, which is drawn with 8 kinds of chalk. They're holding these staffs. They're singing in some ancient language. They're swinging these censers with rare incense. And there's a footnote. Of course, this is all completely unnecessary. In order to summon death, you need 1 pint of cat's blood and 1 match. But wizards like to do it, epically. And that is how our measures for COVID were. They were so complicated. A lot of them were unnecessary. Even if they were strict, they would have been great if they kept pushing it, but they didn't, because they needed the elections, and they also need people to feel happy before the elections, so they allowed a couple of large-scale sports events which have really spread the disease.
25,000 people on a stadium.
Yeah, so there was.
You know what our prime minister said?
Oh God!
You remember that? She said something about that.
Okay.
Like how nobody for sure nobody caught corona on that game.
Okay, and our president said a couple of times, "Do you know anyone who was infected with COVID during the elections?" To come back to this world, it is like literally having that personification of death going with a glowing green censer and sprinkling and incensing COVID on everyone. So
yeah, look, George Orwell has nothing on these guys who are currently running the show in Serbia. By the way, what happened now with the quote-unquote second wave, it's obviously the same wave.
It's the second peak of the first wave.
Second peak of the first wave, exactly. They actually wanted to introduce that curfew again. So the president announced it, and the very same night, the first night of what is now a 5-day protest began. So there's no curfew. They pulled that one back. We had people clashing with the police. We had police brutally beat up people. Well, I don't want to share this in this podcast. We've seen the news outlets, the news media in United States, Germany, etc., portray this as unrest because of the COVID-19 measures, but it's really not. It's an unrest because people are absolutely enraged with the government and just can't take it anymore. But
even our government is trying to portray it like that, like it's because of the COVID. No, guys, you're ugly, evil, incompetent, and you're constantly on TV.
I gotta tell you, like, very honestly, I've never wished like bad things upon anybody. And I caught myself doing that with our government. I know it's a sin.
I've been doing that for 5 years.
No, really, it's a sin, and I regret having those feelings. But honestly, man, it went too far. My last bridge that keeps me from staying, keeps me from leaving this country, which I don't want to. I don't want to leave this country.
I know.
But my last pillar of hope, my last pillar of whatever that's keeping me here is as long as I feel safe. But then when I see that the police is like brutally beating people up, not touching the protesters that were planted by the government, you have this. We were watching a live transmission of this. We were looking at this live. Like, you had quote unquote protesters who were like throwing stuff at the police, but you see that they're throwing stuff directly into their shields. They're not throwing above their heads. They would take the protective fence and like throw it at the police, but always in front of their feet, never onto them, And then the police would fire tear gas, not to them, but to the crowd in the back.
Yeah.
Which is it's uber ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It's uber ridiculous. So, and that's like, these things are going on right now. Honestly, if I didn't have, wife and kids, I would have been there, like, for sure. I would have been there.
I would have been there if I didn't have COVID.
Yeah, that's the other reason. Kind of would suck if I would like transfer the virus to somebody, even though I'm 99.99% recovered. So enough about that. Me and myself, we live in a very
turbulent times here.
In very turbulent times. So, United States, you guys have your problems. France, you guys have your problems. Greece, you guys have your problems. Israel, you guys have your problems. I've seen some protests today there as well. But so do we. And in Serbia, it's no longer fun. It really isn't. And our healthcare is terrible. And just so that I can explain to you how terrible it is, B caught COVID-19, transferred it to me, and I absolutely did not want to go to get myself checked in our healthcare system. That's how bad it is.
Okay, just how do they do it here? In order to get tested in Serbia, you need to have been in contact with someone who has COVID, which I literally don't know anyone who has COVID, and you need to have serious symptoms. So when you read the statistics in Serbia, which are bad, it is 10 times worse, at the very least, because you literally have to bend over backwards while planets align and sea turns red and I don't know what, in order to get tested in Serbia. Or you can pay 6,000 dinars, which is about $50, which is extremely expensive in Serbia. That is approximately how much you would get as a wedding gift from a friend who's not really doing well financially, just to give some context. And that is why, oh yeah, there you have it, folks. And these aren't even the worst ones, you literally have one, it's commercials then. You literally have a footage of a guy lying in the street and these armored policemen passing by and hitting him with the batons, and he gets like 10 hits or so as they're passing him by, and then the second wave of policemen put the guy away from the street on the sidewalk
and leave him there.
And leave him there. But okay, I sort of understand they have their priorities, it's for the medics, but you don't need to hit a man who's lying on the ground. And the most famous footage is like 3 guys sitting in a park on a bench, and these, again, armored idiots start running to them, and they were simply like lifting hands, like, we are unarmed, and they start bashing them, all 3 of them, like idiots.
And then our ombudsman, which is like the protector of citizens, he said something down the lines of there was no excess force used, like we had people on the ground covered the protests. Perhaps there were some, but those are very individual cases, even though everybody who watched a certain television that was doing the live of the protests, everybody saw what was happening in front of them, obviously. And then the head of our police commented that there were no he was like, there are indicators that there might have been very, very individual cases which we're gonna investigate. That's pretty much it. It's like, really, Orville doesn't have anything on these guys. The amount of lies, the amount of covering the truth. Damn it! I thought there was gonna show the one with the 4.
No, we can simply insert it in editing process.
I'll try. It's just I feel very bad when looking at it. Like
I know.
like my business partner saw something on the news and he was like, "Man, is this happening in your city?" And I was like, "Don't make me send what's really happening." And he was like, "Send it," and I like sent. And while I was sending it, I was like, I was getting enraged, man. I was getting enraged. I feel as if I was beaten up. You know, it's really really bad. But back to COVID-19.
Back to happier subjects of COVID. So okay,
so what happened? How did you go through this?
Okay, in one of our previous episodes, we have discussed our fun experiences with colonoscopy, and the reason why I had
the episode is called was it? Yeah,
the inside story.
The inside story.
It is still one of my favorite episodes. In any case, before one of my reasons why I did the colonoscopy is because I had acid reflux. And a week before I had colonoscopy, I started to feel this strong minty taste in my mouth. However, to be quite honest, I'm starting to believe that it wasn't due to reflux, even though it tends to be one of the symptoms of the reflux. I think it was my version of losing sense of taste. Because this the split second, all of the symptoms of COVID have weakened. That taste was gone, you know. So I believe that it might have been heavily influenced by that. So anyway, day is Friday. I'm going to work and I'm feeling extraordinarily dizzy. Like if I'm up, if I'm not sitting or lying, I feel completely dizzy. And at that moment, I have no idea that it is COVID, because those days we had literally hot weather, thunderstorm, hot weather, thunderstorm. You're going outside, you're going where there's AC on, outside AC, and so on. So I thought that I was feeling dizzy because of all these temperature changes. So after work, by the way, it is a miracle that I did not infect anyone at my work, anyone. And I'm working with a coworker who's very anxious about COVID because she has a young daughter and an elderly husband. And I have a coworker who has asthma, and my boss is diabetic. Like all of them are different kinds of vulnerable groups, you know. So I go after work. I couldn't get Uber, so but I was lucky with the public transport. So I got to M's place and we record 2 episodes, the one about cancel culture, the Jenna Marbles and so on, and the one about the elections. And I'm sorry if I have to spoil the joke or, reveal it, but check out the ending of the autopsy of Serbian elections. It is such a good joke. I kept laughing. It's perfect. So anyway, we record. We clearly kept social distance. We were literally at a kissing distance, as I like to call it. like this. So
we were very close.
Very smart, And
look, I think you were irresponsible. You first of all, you skipped the part where you came, where I opened the door for you.
Okay.
You were red in the face, and I was like, man, okay. Are you feeling well? Why are you so red in the face? And you told me, well, I imagine how you would have felt if you went through like public transportation like I just did.
But
that's what you said.
Yeah,
but it wasn't that. You were irresponsible.
No. I would have said it every day, because going to your place on a hot summer's day is really not fun with public transport. Like I would literally get like that there every time. Anyway, but I also had COVID. I also had COVID.
When you moved to your new apartment, which you allegedly bought, I've never seen it. Never.
I'm
not even sure if that's the truth. then we will record there.
Okay, fine. So, after I recorded, shut up. I had to meet with some friends of mine, like 3 girls and a guy. I go there.
Look at this guy really spreading this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad. Did anybody get it from the 3?
All except 1.
Wow.
So, guy, his girlfriend. No. The girlfriend of that guy, only she didn't get it. Everyone else did. Like 3 of them. So I come there and I'm like feeling really dizzy, and I'm still thinking that I was simply exhausted because of all the heat and recording and work and all things. So we are like talking, and I'm literally sitting in an armchair. I'm sort of talking, but I'm sort of spaced out. And I get home. I get home, and I think this is the miracle of God, because the virus seems to have been activated in the afternoon, because again, nobody at my work got it, but everyone else I have interacted with after work got it. So I come home at around midnight. I open the door, and we have like this large living room, and my mother is sitting at the far end of the living room. And my dad is the type who goes to bed early, so he wasn't around. Thank God. And my mother is in the far end of the living room, and she's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm a grown person." So, and I immediately go to my room, and again, thank God. So, and I'm like really not feeling well, and I go to sleep.
You could have skipped the exchange between you and your mother.
No. I have to mention it because if she was, for example, sitting closer to the door or something, she easily could have caught it, And again, she's an elderly lady, I don't want her.
No, it's really awesome that she didn't catch it, and that my father didn't catch it, who actually walked you out. Yeah. Because my office is at my father's apartment.
Yeah.
And I kind of asked him to walk him out because I had to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The Lord really protected the most vulnerable ones,
I gotta say, you had much worse symptoms than I have. Not counting the fact that I absolutely freaked out because I lost my sense of smell. It was really... Because, I never had that in the past. I've never experienced that. And, I tried to, convince myself that it didn't happen. I tried to, retrain my brain. I took, essential oils, and I tried to smell, and it just didn't work. We have this cinnamon toothpaste.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's like uber potent. I can't feel it. I have the holy miro. How do you say that? Myrrh, right? Yeah. I have that as well. With literally taken from a saint and diluted in oil. It's like when I opened that, the entire apartment smells like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't smell it at all.
I have to say, you losing that. No, because you panicked. You were my because I was pretty sure that I will be fine. You were my sole worry during the entire COVID experience.
Actually, I was mad at you. In the beginning, not because you've transferred the virus to me. I was mad at you because it was very hard for me to communicate with you. You were and I guessed that 100 people is writing to you. 100 people are asking you questions. I guessed that, and I never pushed. I would, and trust me, this came with a lot of effort. I gotta be honest. It came with an effort, because what I wanted to do was grab that phone and because what happened was, you and I, we saw each other on Wednesday and on Friday.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure if you transferred this to me on Wednesday or on Friday. And on Thursday, I went to practice with my friend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we do martial arts, and we are kissing distance as well, constantly, because we throw each other.
Yeah.
It's and his father is basically on the oncology ward. He's like very endangered, and he had to not see his father at all. And the guy, I think is basically living the last days of his life right now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a messed up situation. You actually know him. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
And he was asking me questions as well. And then I was like, hey, did you confirm it was Corona? And I was like, well, let me see. And then I would ask you, and you told me, well, I was on a scanner, and then I would have to interpret what that means. Like, I know that the test for COVID is actually, they have to take something from your throat, or they have to take your blood and analyze it for antibodies, whatever. There's, and it was like super confusing. And then I would ask you, and trust me, you can't see that from your perspective. It was very hard to get information from you.
No, because I myself was very confused. I was feeling so weak because I was about to get to that part. So during the weekend, I was simply having a low fever. But starting Monday, when I actually went to get the scanner, which was semi-illegally, I was feeling so weak that I could barely walk, and everybody's like, get yourself tested. But I was like, guys, I'm feeling so weak. I can barely get out of bed. And you're asking me to go to this COVID hospital where people are literally waiting for 12 or plus hours in a blazing hospital where there's no climatization.
Serbian healthcare.
Yeah.
We won. Yeah. We won. COVID, we won.
And there are these black market tests administered by these private hospitals. But when I wanted to get those, they were out. And these wouldn't enter into official statistics. And also, I had concerns about the legitimacy of Serbian tests because I heard that they're absolutely atrocious. You can trust them 80% of the time. I think that in Slovenia, they got the same tests and they basically dumped them because they realized that they literally can't do anything about them. So I basically told everyone to assume with very high degree of certainty that I do have COVID. And my primary example of that was that the 6 of you that I have saw, 5 of you that I have seen, 4 of you have gotten it, and 2 of you had the classical symptoms of losing taste and smell.
Yeah, the interesting part with me, I had fever for 3 days, and it stopped, and then suddenly it was literally like this. I lost my sense of smell.
Oh wow! Okay.
After those 3 days of fever, I think first of all, I think I did a bit better than you did because I let the fever. I didn't take any sort of medication. Because and look, I can send links. Actually, fever is good. High temperature is good. It helps the immune system. Say hi to your mom, I think.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's fine. So the high temperature of the body is good. A lot of people, and that's something that my father used to do when we were kids. When he got sick, he would put 5 blankets on him, and he would sweat it out, and it really does work. And I kind of let it. I didn't take any sort of medication. My head was killing me. I had migraines. It was ridiculous, but I went through it, and this is why I think I only had the fever for 3 days, and out of those 3 days, half of that time I had not so high of a temperature. You know, it wasn't dramatic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the only real problem was my head was like hurt so much, and I had like
Yeah.
three days and nights of headache, and I was weak. But then immediately after this fever was gone and all that, like
Okay.
something just snapped, and I suddenly felt like my nose is a bit clogged, even though like there was no excretions or
Mucus.
nothing, and I still haven't had any since that day.
Mm-hmm.
And like, but then just I felt strange, and I was like, I don't think I can smell, and I immediately went to the drawer where I keep the mirror. Did we say mirror?
Myrrh.
Thank you, myrrh. God only knows what mirror means. Sounds like manure.
No, that's like the exact opposite.
Yeah, and I immediately went for that because I know that it's very intense, and I felt nothing, and I was like, no. And the no was for two reasons. One, I never experienced that, so I freaked out.
Of course.
And two, it meant it was Corona. There was no denying it, because because it's like 90% of the people who were waiting in those 12-hour queues to get tested for COVID, they all just lost their sense of smell, even though they probably didn't experience any other symptoms. Majority of people here in Serbia actually seems to have experienced loss of smell, and that's it. I personally think I went through some form of COVID a couple of months ago. I'm pretty sure we all had it. I had doubts.
Yeah, I remember when you.
Yeah, but it was different than anything we've ever experienced before, so I wasn't really sure. When you went through one type, if you get infected by another type, you have mild symptoms. So I had mild symptoms. Honestly, my biggest problem when I was going through that was not the symptoms. It was like other people scared me, man. They just plain scared me, because they were doing the same thing. Some people were pressuring me to get tested. Some people were pressuring me to like to go in and like do a scan of my lungs, because there's a lot of stories about people who never even coughed and they ended up on a ventilator. And honestly, there's very bad stories. Like today, I got a story from a guy from my wife's hometown.
Okay.
One of his best friends died, lost to Corona, and he was like 35. And then his younger brother, who was like 27 or something, died a couple of days later. And their father is now sick, which is like
I remember seeing this guy on Twitter, Serbian guy, and like his tweet 5 days ago, when I saw it, was like, "I'm negative," like caps lock. But his most recent tweet is him in the hospital with like that mask that gets you oxygen, and he's like, "We'll pull through," and he looks bad, and I'm like, negative, yay. Like, to be quite honest, I'm very afraid of negative results. You know, if you have it, then you will take precautions. But if you're negative, you might not be as careful, and you still might very, very much have it.
I'd like to take this opportunity to before I forget, that there's this YouTube channel. I think it's called Bold and Bankrupt. He's a very fun guy, a Brit who went through like all ex-Soviet countries, and he's a charming guy. He's bold, really. And when he heard that in Serbia COVID was beaten, he went to Serbia, and he caught Corona here, and he really went through very, very bad days. Fortunately, he pulled through. He had some connections through the Russian embassy or something, and he ended up in intensive care, and they really helped him. So I want to take this opportunity to convey to people what kind of a quote unquote cure regime I did, because I think it's very good. You still there, B?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
You're lost in some chat or something.
No, I'm listening to you.
Reading Twitter, admit it. Instagram,
No.
admit it.
No,
admit.
no. You're the Twitter
confess,
guy.
Confess.
I'll never confess. Do go.
So I follow this guy, Dr. Berg, whom I warmly recommend. The guy's just plain awesome. Period. And he talks about his main focus is diet. The way you eat. He's so when I asked my friend who was on keto, hey, how do you look so good after 3 months, and how are you so alive and awesome? He pointed me to this guy. So my wife and I, we've been, as well as my wife's parents, we've been following him for some time now, and we really had fantastic results health wise and etc. And I mean, I lost a lot of weight. Like 20 kilos. Now translate that. Let me translate this.
No. You keep talking, I'll translate.
I already did. That's like 45 pounds, guys.
Which is nice.
Which is like almost the weight of a suitcase you can bring with you for free. So the big one. Dr. Berg talks and really highlights the important details. And you can confirm everything he says in relevant papers. It's really not hard, especially if you're one of those people who wants to, corroborate some sort of like nutritional advice. Because nutrition is these days, they're like ants. They're everywhere, and everybody has their own thing, and but at the end of the day, he was people would ask him, like, what would you do if you had COVID-19? And he explained what sort of nutrition elements are uber important for our immune system. So what I would do every day, I would be 20 minutes on the sun. I would go to my balcony, catch the time of day when sun was there, and I would be there for like 20 something minutes. Because sun, you get vitamin D from sun, and vitamin D is super important for your immune system. You can easily confirm this.
And also, it is also very important during COVID, because I think I heard in Indonesia, people who did not suffer from vitamin D deficiency had a much better results than those who were vitamin D deficient.
Exactly, and when in areas where they are naturally deficient in vitamin D because of the lack of the sun, as well as people with darker skin because they don't absorb the vitamin D, as well as people with lighter skin, they had more casualties from corona. And again, this is all something you can actually pretty easily confirm. And then I would also take a food that contains zinc, which is uber important. And a lot of people actually lose smell because of zinc deficiency. And believe it or not,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zinc deficiency will bring you to lose your sense of smell, or for it to like loosen and weaken. So I took, it wasn't really easy for me to get zinc. These are not things you buy in a drugstore, in a pharmacy, because when you're taking vitamins, the natural complex of vitamins is where if you take those, your body absorbs them very well. But if you take a chemical complex of vitamins, which you can buy off a shelf, it is that vitamin, but it doesn't absorb that well in your body. So like for example, I know that magnesium sells like crazy. A lot of money is being made on magnesium, but it doesn't absorb. It just goes through you like cake through Olaf. You know, the frozen, frozen advent. Yeah. So zinc is very important, and believe it or not, the second day after I started destroying pumpkin seeds, which are very rich in zinc, the second day after I started really eating a lot of that, my sense of smell just got back.
Okay, thank you so much for this information, because one of the girls that got COVID from me still hasn't regained her senses.
Absolutely, tell her to and she don't buy zinc. Let her know that that she's supposed to get. I think she can get it also from
seafood. Seafood is very rich in zinc.
Yeah, seafood exactly. But I was going for a specific one.
Oysters. It's oysters, I think.
Yes, oysters. Exactly.
But I'm not really sure how easy it is to get oysters in.
I've never eaten them. But
you can easily get mussels, but
pumpkin seeds. She can get that.
Okay. Those are
I've eaten a lot of them. On the second day of me devouring pumpkin seeds, bam, my sense of smell started getting back. And by the way, the way it got back was I was like lying down watching something on my tablet, and I just smelled fresh air, and I was like, wow. And I took a very deep breath, and I was like, is it real? And I immediately ran to the drawer, and I smelled the myrrh. And I was like, thank God, because I was really scared I would lose it forever. I was really scared because I read not everybody gets it back. Let me finish.
At least yet. It's still a relatively young disease, so to speak. So,
dude, if it lasts for a year, I know this because my brother lost his sense of smell. Well, not from COVID, but from.
I'm talking specifically about COVID.
Yeah. Well, okay, fair enough. Agreed. Anyways, I wanted to. Intermittent fasting. Very important. Meaning, having that fast period between your last and first meal. Uber important. Drinking a lot of water, but potentially with apple cider vinegar and lemon. That really rocks. Apple cider vinegar is very important. It subsides inflammatory processes, and you know that a lot of people who had COVID had issues with their stomach, bowel movements, etc. So this is also very important. And last but not least, organic wild oregano oil.
Yeah.
Which is a natural antibiotic, antiviral, and you can use it with an inhalator, like you can inhale it, and you can use drops in like oil, like coconut oil or I don't know, olive oil or whatever oil you prefer. You can't just drink it like without anything because it's uber potent, and I'm very certain that this has got me through my mild symptoms, and I believe that they stayed mild because I went through this process, and I really recommend it to everybody. So that's my 2 cents.
I just want to add my take on the story regarding.
You took antibiotics. I didn't. Remember that.
Because of the acid reflux, which combined very very poorly with COVID, because due to fever, I couldn't stand and I could barely sit, and we really don't have these. I mean, the armchairs that we have in my place are all in the living room, and because I was basically sealed in my room, the only options were bed, and lying isn't really best for your reflux, as well as intermittent fasting. I really can't do it anymore because
you can't.
That's bad. That's a big no-no when it comes to acid reflux. So anyway, during the first couple of days, my mother would make cornmeal, which is one of our favorite breakfast foods. However, these, for some reason, really made my acid act up, and I was feeling miserable for the first, So I got I got the symptoms on Friday. During the weekend, I was okay, but starting Monday, it was fever and the reflux. So I was literally a mess. I was completely weak, and everybody was calling, everybody was messaging, everybody was demanding information. Like people whom I have seen 2 weeks prior to the first symptoms are like, "You have to get tested." I'm like, I can't get out of bed and so on. But the first time I regurgitated the acid due to the cornmeal, it was your typical heartburn. It sort of tasted like that acid from cartoons, bright green and eating everywhere. But the second time I got it, one day I couldn't sleep at all. I don't know why. Maybe it was the full moon, because it really affects me. I can't sleep on the day of the full moon. Like I for the life of me, I can't. Yeah, if I'm like wake up, if I'm like wake at 5 a.m., like it's definitely the moon, and I lift the blinds, and there it is, like round and evil. So anyway, I couldn't sleep, and then it comes back for the second time. But by this time, I was drinking so many pills. I was drinking paracetamol for my fever. I was drinking C supplements.
Paracetamol.
D supplements. Zinc supplements. I was drinking antibiotics. I was drinking a couple of kinds of anti-reflux. This time, when it came back, it felt radioactive and bright blue. It tasted like such chemicals, like something that definitely is not part of your regular body. The first time it felt organic, despicable, but still something that a living organism would create. But this was straight out of laboratory, like when they have these bright blue chemicals in cartoons. That is how it felt like. Oh, my hand looks really blue now. It was despicable, and I was so utterly miserable. But thank God, this Saturday the fever went and everything else went, and now it's just an occasional cough, and that's it.
Well, I think it went well when you look at it, because what people went through, thank God we didn't have to go through the healthcare system in Serbia. It's like the worst nightmare. Thank you, God, thank you. It's like that's what I was scared of, and that's what people were scaring me with.
Of course.
People were scaring me like, well, you have mild symptoms, but it can go wrong in a second, It will go to your lungs, and I really, it got to me, man. I was tripping, I was tripping that my chest hurt, that I can't breathe well. I went through a couple of mild panic attacks as well. I don't wanna hide that. It's a fact. I was very, very weak, and it was. I think as with many other diseases, it's a bit of a psychological warfare as well. It's a psychological war you need to win, so that you can get the strength to go through it. And again, not counted the fact that my head, I've never had such headaches in my life. And then the fact that I freaked out when I lost my sense of smell, I can't really say I had it bad. Especially when I see what happened. Me neither. Really, I can't say I had it bad. And I think you had it worse than I had, because you had a high fever for like 7 days, man. I think every day you had fever, every day, and
Mm-hmm.
you were very, very unavailable. You would respond to my messages in intervals of like 6 hours or something, and it freaked me out. Anyways, I don't think I have transferred the virus to anybody, which is a good. I mean, my wife had a bit of high fever, like one day, and that's it, nothing else. So I think we had to pull the kids from daycare.
Yeah, of course.
Self isolate. And that's pretty much it. I'm waiting for a couple of more days, and I'm gonna go to get the antibodies test done privately in a private clinic. Just so that I have it on paper for any particular reason. Maybe I'll need it, maybe I won't. I don't really know. And that's it. I think that's hopefully that's the end of this Corona story. Mind you, you can get it again. You know that, right?
I know, and all of this was for nothing.
Well, it's not for nothing. If you went through one type, the antibodies will help. So you will likely have mild symptoms of another type. But you can't just, you're not immune.
Yeah, I know.
Like you would be if this was like seasonal flu.
I know.
So that's it, man. I don't have anything smarter to say outside of the fact that it's a very sad day for Christianity, because the Turkish president, Sultan, whatever you want to call him, has decided to, I think he invoked the lex specialis in its own way, to pronounce Hagia Sophia or as a place of prayer for Muslims, which basically means he basically turned it into a mosque after almost 90 years of a status quo. I'd like to very briefly reflect on that, like very briefly. I think status quo was really the most respective towards all religions and denominations. And if the country of Israel can respect holy places in Jerusalem, like why couldn't they respect? It's.
By the way, as far as I know, but I have to double check. I think that Muslims aren't allowed to pray in any place that contains images. And from what I have heard, they won't touch the mosaics of Hagia Sophia. So if they do go forward with this plan, this will probably be the only place in the entire world where Muslims are praying in the presence of icons of Christ and the Most Holy Theotokos.
Holy Theotokos, yeah.
So I do hope they don't go forward with this plan, but if they do, I do expect miracles to happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, it could be. I mean, nothing happens without God allowing it.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
And also, before we go, briefly to also reflect on our previous episode, I think it's perfectly fine if we don't agree in everything. I think it's absolutely normal that we have different points of view.
Yeah.
The most important thing, in my opinion, is our mutual attempt at understanding the other person's position.
Yeah.
And I think that's our max. And I think that's what we should strive for. A sort of tolerance, but not in that ridiculous way it's being used nowadays. But real, tolerance out of love.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree.
It's perfectly fine if we don't agree in everything. It's really, really perfectly fine. Like B and I here, we disagree on a lot of things, which we don't touch on that often, but we shall. I think we shall. I think we should. What is it?
Nectarines.
Sugar. That's really gonna help your GERD, acid reflux thing.
It will.
GERD.
They don't activate it.
They don't.
No.
Man, I'm so gonna send you something. Do you use apple cider vinegar or not? Because if you don't, you're crazy.
Not as of yet.
Man, it will refresh you, rejuvenate you. It will kill
it tastes like vinegar.
No, trust me, man. You get used to it in like 2 days, and you start to like it. You start to like that little soury taste. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. You need to trust me. Do you trust me?
Yeah. Okay. I'll trust you.
You know, I recommended apple cider vinegar to you at least a month ago, and you haven't done it.
Because everybody's giving advice. Like, I can't apply it everywhere. I have limited amount of space in my stomach, and I have limited time to listen to everybody's advice. So there you have it.
Be that as it may, my advice is better than everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because I also can send you and shall send you a link.
Oh boy.
Right now.
Well, if a link does not convince me...
No, you should watch this.
Okay, I will.
You should.
I will.
I will have to remind you that I had acid reflux, and much worse than you had. I had much worse consequences than you had. I almost suffocated 2 times. So remember that.
I will. Can I go now?
Yes, you can. We went a bit overboard.
Yeah.
This is one of those over 1 hour episodes.
Yeah. I like how people will tune in to listen to our COVID experiences and will be exposed to our political rant for half an hour.
Sadly, I will not be going to church tomorrow. Still afraid of transferring the disease to somebody, and last week I couldn't go. So everybody who's been sending us names to mention on during the Divine Liturgy, sorry. I'll try to maybe send them to somebody else. To read them. You're probably not going as well, right? Are you going to church, B?
Of course not. I'm not going to risk infecting somebody.
Yeah. Now you say it.
Well, I think it was pretty much implied.
No, I mean, because you infected me.
Yeah.
Bye for now, guys. Talk to you in the next one.
Bye, guys.